What's up, gamers? This is Jim from Just Push Play here. I have another rant for you. Just to put things in context, I mean, uh, tonight Grand Theft Auto 5 is getting released. I've seen some of the reviews. I haven't read them because, uh, sort of just got home late from work. Um, so yeah, the reviews, from what I saw, they're saying it's really good, pretty much the best Grand Theft Auto game um, to date. So I'm not too surprised because I have four. Unfortunately, I don't have as much time to play games as I would like. Um, so that is unfortunate. But I'm not really talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 today. I'm talking about something like an experience that I had. Just gonna put this down. Experience I had the other day, and it just made me realize, as much as I love modern gaming today, there's just a few things that I just don't get. And having grown up with video games, um, just in the last decade or two, I just find this kind of confusing, and it's a little bit disappointing. So, what inspired this sort of rant today is the fact that I was at my buddy's place for the Let's Game Ottawa #6, and obviously he's got a different PlayStation 3. I didn't move my PlayStation 3 over there, so okay, I have very different games than he has. So I put the disc in. We were, it took us like half an hour to get gaming because of, people coming late, all the usual stuff. Now, I'm not complaining about that. What I think really is disappointing about gaming is once we finally all got down on the couch, um, it was kind of like, okay, we finally sat down, the PS3 just got the game in, you think everything's awesome, but, you know, you put a game into your PS3, and then my buddy didn't have the update that was needed. Either it was like a patch for either the system or, a patch for the actual game. Um, so the game in question was Mortal Kombat versus DC, which is an older game. Now, I'm not sure, I haven't read and researched the different patches, and it's sort of immaterial, really. But modern gaming, it's amazing. Like the graphics are impressive. The things that they can do, the fact that they can do movies, co-op, 4 players at once. So, that's something that when I first started playing video games, you just had the Atari, you had the Pac-Man. You were lucky if you knew what you were controlling when I started playing video games. So it's a very different experience now. See, even behind, you can't see this because you can't see the other side of the room, and I'm not going to move the camera because it'll give you a weird angle. But I set up at the intro you did see, the small bit that I showed before to start this episode, the game was being patched to the system. It just now finished, and that's what I'm leading to today. As soon as you put a game into your PS3, it has to install a patch. Now, I have to admit, the Street Fighter patch, uh, it's Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. Now, admittedly, that one was probably bigger than the other ones I've installed, like Mortal Kombat vs. DC. But what disappoints me about modern gaming is the fact that you have to do that. I understand the purpose of updates, but I mean, we just think of it this way within the context of our gaming events. I mean, it took us 30 minutes to an hour just to sit down, everyone talking, saying how life's going and all that. And then you have to wait another 10-20 minutes for your game to get installed. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if you were like myself, who started with like the original Nintendo and Super Nintendo. All you had to do, like even if the system wasn't set up, you'd plug in the back, the audio and video. You plug the controllers in. Obviously you have the TV there, so you plug it all that into the TV. And now, as amazing as modern gaming is with high definition, all that, it's more complicated because each game You know, back in the day, you could just put the cartridge in, power, you know, you're pretty much set to go unless, you know, you forgot drinks, beer, whatever, chips. Now with modern gaming, you have to patch each game, which is kind of unfortunate. So today, that is what I find that kind of disappointing with modern gaming. You know, as amazing modern gaming is, and the fact that you can have multiple people in the same room and you can play over Xbox Live and all that, um, that I find that's one of the downsides, other than like, you know, having all these menus and, you know, you have, if you have a friend like I do, Jimmy, who enjoys going through every last option in the menus to see everything, you know, I just find I just want a game since I grew up, you know, just thinking, okay, you press start, bam, you know, it says you have 3 lives with Mario Brothers or whatever, and then you're ready to game. So I find it, you know, sometimes I'm like, you know, I like to give that question to people that I interview, you know, what do you like about gaming back then? What do you think is awesome about gaming now? Well, I find that personally a bit disappointing, you know, the fact that you can't just jump into the game always. Like, I know with NHL, for example, you could just press start, you know, you're jumping into the game, you can play hockey straight away pretty much. You don't have to go through all those menus as you do have to sometimes. So, you know, this really hit home with me the other day at our gaming event because it was the first time. Yeah, you can hear Street Fighter in the background there. It's kind of funny. But this is the first time that I've ever had the event held not at Jimmy's place, and instead at, you know, my buddy Graham's place. And it really drove the point home that, you know, when you're doing an event, of course it's good to be organized, but I mean, if you're doing it at someone's house, you know, there's always stuff that comes up. So this came up, and it took even longer for us to get ready, an extra 10-20 minutes to play the first game. You know, from there, I think we're okay because I played Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom with Graham before, months, yeah, I think it was like almost a year ago at his place, so we were fine with that game. I mean, it wasn't so bad, but I mean, just you want to get into the game as soon as possible, and I think that's something that, you know, if you're a programmer and you're watching this, you know, maybe, or just a gamer, you know, keep that in mind. Gamers, you know, if you really want to sit down and relax at the end of the day, you don't want to patch your game and then wait like another 10-20 minutes. You know, that's one thing I personally, you know, about modern gaming. I think with setting up the game, downloading all that, that's why I prefer the hard copy myself. I know a lot of people don't mind having to buy a game from Steam and, you know, spend the whole night downloading it. I've seen people say that from, you know, the internet, say that, oh yeah, I'll just, you know, I just let it patch overnight, it's all good. You know, I can't wait to play it tonight after work. But for me, I like to play the game straight away. So I sort of, it's hard for me to see people like being sort of chill with, you know, their game, not being able to play it straight away and having to wait like 10 hours. Like, to me, that's like, okay, gaming when I grew up, you know, the Atari, the screen would come straight up, you know, just press one button, like one player or two player, or it'd be like some other option, like really basic options. You wouldn't get like Street Fighter or Smash Brothers. You can switch items off, and like that customizable ability, it just didn't exist. So anyway, so I just, you know, I find that kind of disappointing sometimes because, you know, when you really want to play a game and then developers ask you all these questions, like I even saw in GameCube games when we played them, you know, do you want to save all that? You know, I find that kind of annoying because if you want to play the game, you know, I prefer if it's auto save and it just says auto saving and then done, you know, uh, all those interruptions. It's kind of annoying after a while having all those interruptions pop up. So, yeah, I find that really annoying, and I think that there needs to be a better way that that gets handled in modern gaming. So the other thing I found was really annoying because I just got a Wii. Let's see, you can see that. Okay, perfect. So I just got a Wii U, um, and I actually came up. The topic came up today at work, with one of my managers. I'm not gonna say which job, but I think it would be pretty obvious. But we were talking about the Wii versus the Wii U, and she was kind of disappointed that Nintendo just didn't, you know, um, make the games, or make, like, I understand the hardware capability and the limitations for the system, and I think I'm not sure if she did either. The reason why she couldn't have like a 1080p Mario Brothers, because that was the game she wanted. But she wanted to play Mario Brothers on her original Wii, and she wasn't happy that she had to buy Wii U to play it. Um, and I sort of understand that, because I mean, the games so far for the Wii U, they look better, but and they kind of have the extra sheen, but I mean, they don't blow you away, is how I see it. So I sort of sympathize with that, because having to get a Wii U, that's a huge investment, a whole new game system. It's not cheap if you buy it, you know, before before it's like a mainstream price, $150, 200. I got my Wii U for like 250, so I mean that's a great deal. I mean, because you save on tax and all that if you buy it from someone else. But I mean, at the same time, on the downside, and this is what bothers me, is you know, sort of like our conversation, my manager and I, you have to buy a new controller. So the the rest of the story is this new controller, it's $50. That's a lot of money for a controller. And uh, I also had a conversation today with a guy at EB Games while getting this. And I said, I'm kind of surprised these controllers are too much. And he said, well, it's actually the cheapest controller this generation. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of just that's beside the point. I mean, the beside the point is the controller's $50, man. Um, I could buy, like, just going by the games I bought today, I could buy a game for $5. And I saw some games today, EB Games for $2.99, $3.99. I'm like, okay, so I have to buy a controller for 50 to play a game. When back in the day, I used to be able to buy a controller that wasn't, just a basic controller, not without like all the, fancy stylings. Obviously, this more advanced, but I mean, it really it I find that kind of concerning that you can pay $50 for a controller when you can get all these games, like games that for maybe $5, $10. There's some that are 15 today. I still the Street Fighter that's playing in the background. It's kind of distracting, but that's playing, and that cost me about 20-25. So I remember when it was like 44. Just I don't know, 6-7 months ago, maybe less than that, maybe 3 months ago. So it's kind of crazy, to think that I can either get one controller, or looking at the Xbox 360 games, looking at the you know PS3 games they had. They're $5-10 each. So I can get one controller, or I can get like 10 games. It's kind of weird, I just and not only do I disagree with the fact that controllers are so much, I also disagree, with um, where was I going with this? I disagree that the controllers are so much, and I disagree that PS3 controller should be so much, since I really think the hardware should drop in price similarly as the software. I understand why they have the extra components, and maybe the demand isn't there, but it makes me wonder if it's artificially priced and artificially inflated. For at least the PS3's been around for years now. It shouldn't be what, 6 years, 7 years now. But yeah, it shouldn't be this expensive for a PS3 controller. Should not be even more than a Wii U controller. That I know the Wii U is not being adopted as much, and it's not selling, supposedly not selling as well as they were expecting. But I mean, $50 for a controller, like, I think controllers for Super Nintendo, what were they? Um, that's a while ago, but I thought they used to be like $20 for a controller, not 50. Like 50 for a controller? Like, as I said, I could buy like 10 games, pre-owned games for that amount, or I could buy like 10 games from Joe Schmo from the down the street. So just to summarize today, what I'm concerned about, I'm just concerned about the fact that, like, you know, uh, we I felt like I could used to be able to get controllers um, for much less. All the load times and all that with games. Like, fortunately, load times isn't a big problem. But I mean, installing these updates when you have a bunch of people over, you want to just get things going. It's kind of disappointing that there's that wait time and you have to install a game. Admittedly, you only have to install it once, but I mean, say you want to play like for example, last night at the Lids game Ottawa, number 7, I brought 10 games. Say it took like 10-20 minutes per game to install. Say we play like 2 to 5 games. That's a lot of time. That could be half an hour of just, throughout the night, just installing games when, back in the day, I used to be able to just put my NES cartridge in, power on, everyone can play. Everyone the multi-tap set to set up a multi-tap with the Nintendo or like the multi-tap with the Super Nintendo. I mean, or four-player adapter was what it's called for the Nintendo. I mean, that took no time at all. It took like 30 seconds. I mean, for a patch and update, it takes a lot more than that. It can take like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes for a game. So I find that kind of disappointing. And the event we did at my buddy's place yesterday, it definitely, it really brought that home to me. The prices of controllers. Like, I shouldn't have to, I shouldn't have to buy 4 of these. That's crazy if I want to buy 4 of these. I know that, um, oh yeah, and that was the other thing. I almost forgot to add that point there as well. Um, we my girlfriend and I wanted to play the Wii U, and we have one controller. So I thought, okay, I have the tablet, I have one controller. So that means I thought, okay, we can both play. I mean, maybe I'll use the tablet, and you can use the Pro controller, vice versa, with my girlfriend. We don't have to worry about it. We've got 2 controllers, right? 2 controllers. But no, you can't do that with Mario Brothers. I was really disappointed with that because then it pretty much forced me to buy a second controller that is like, $50 plus tax, which is way too much money for a controller, in my opinion. I mean, I think controllers, from as I remember them, as I said, Super Nintendo days, $20. I know the technology's, far more advanced, and you can recharge it once you bought it. It's probably gonna last like 5-10 years, but I mean, still, $50? Like, I could buy a lot of great beer or Molson Canadian for that. So, anyways, I don't want to be a downer, but I mean, I don't know if anyone else feels this way as well, but I mean, it's a lot of money. It's not gaming can be expensive, and I think people saying that wait 6 months, the games will go down. Yeah, that's great, but are you gonna wait 2-3 years after the system comes out to buy the system? Like, gamers, really hardcore gamers, and I like to think that I am one, considering if you've seen the pictures on Facebook, I buy quite a lot of games, and talk about games a lot too. You know, it's really, really expensive to afford, all the games and controllers and, accessories like Connect. So I just find it really disappointing that it seems like the controllers are going to be $50, or you can buy like an extra arcade stick, which is also, could be $50, $100. So I find that kind of disappointing, and I think if they really want to make gaming mainstream, I think they need to, um, definitely, provide controllers that, you know, even if the Wiimote can be used with Mario Brothers, um, Wii U, uh, I just still find that disappointing because I personally don't like having batteries or having to recharge or change batteries. That's why I got that controller. So I really find that disappointing that we were all ready to play. I was ready to have a gaming night with my girlfriend, which it's hard enough to do if your girlfriend isn't a gamer or wife or best friend that's reluctant to play video games with you. I mean, it's sort of like, oh, you were looking forward to that moment the whole night, and then you have to buy another controller, $50. You have to wait. You maybe don't have time the next week. So think about it. I think it's sort of disappointing in that regard. So anyways, I'm Jim from Just Push Play, otherwise Video Game Web Show. Check out our YouTube. Check out the Twitters. you know, check us out, watch our videos, give us replies, you know, tell us what you like, come to our Let's Game Ottawa, come to our Feast of the Dead events. We're going to be doing a lot in Ottawa. We love Ottawa. I particularly love Ottawa, and we're going to be doing a lot for Ottawa, and, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. So take care and keep on gaming, guys. Ciao.